Having absolutely nothing to do with my presentation today, I thought with all the presentations we've had thus far, maybe a philosophy question. AI, noun or verb? Think about that, take it home with you, pontificate for a little while. Thank you to everybody that's here in the audience. I also spent 3 decades as a senior member in the Defense Department, and I'm always marveled at the amount of work that you do. And today, there are thousands among thousands of POVs on AI in your workspace. We are in an age of the proof of concept, but the reality is less than 1% of those are ever going to stick. And it's not because the technology. You've heard all of my predecessors that walked up here talk about the enormous amount of LLMs that we have available to us. Fundamentally, I think it's that we are placing things in the wrong place, and it's actually a process problem, something that I like to address as mission forward. And when I talk about the process, what I'm talking about is it's not about the model. You'll have all these people come up and they'll tell you it's about the model, it's about the different type of model, it's about what you get out of the model. I think fundamentally, we actually fail at the operational layer. And this is what Mission Forward is all about. And first and foremost, I want to talk about something that I call the insight gap. We leverage all of these incredible technologies, whether we base them internal to our workflows or whether we put them on a model layer that sits up above. And an insight gap does something like your logistics and supply chain system is broken. That doesn't allow you to get into the idea of execution. In execution, when we apply Mission Forward, what we're talking about is it identified that there was a problem, it notified the leadership that there was a problem, and it autonomously triggered an action to solve and remedy the logistical problem that you have. And what we're trying to get to in the flow of work that you'll have is this idea where AI doesn't just generate answers, instead it actually delivers for you mission outcomes at NASA and labor and energy and health and human services. But in order to get there, especially in 2026, one of the things that we find internally is that a lot of organizations are moving from this idea of over-customization and bespoke AI systems to something that they call intelligent execution platforms. And in it, there's really 3 phases that I would posit that we need to pay attention to. The very first one is everything that we do has to have a contextual backbone. I argue that that should be internal to your core systems or your flow of work, not sitting above, not reaching out, trying to grab instrumental pieces. The context is what matters most in the way that you help reduce the friction for your workforce and buy yourself more white space. The second critical foundation layer for us is trusted data. And this isn't just the big data lakes or anything else. This is the way that we fundamentally do the work that we do. And the third, and this is the most important, right? Because as you talk about processing grants or supplying new capabilities or onboarding citizenship, it's not enough to train a model or even the operational level in how something gets done. It's who has the authority to execute the action. Again, in Mission Forward, what we're talking about is driving action to create white space and reduce the friction in your organization. And when we talk about this in real life, I want to give you a couple anecdotes. The first one is the citizen inquiry business. There's a federal entity amongst you who, leveraging their existing operational model, has been able to solve citizen inquiries with an auto repatriation of 80% and reducing all of their backlogs, similar to what we heard from USPTO earlier, by more than 50%, and bringing backlogs from 766,000 down to near 0 in the course of a single year. Or there's the city of Tacoma, which by instrumentally sticking sensors that trigger autonomous actions directly in the flow of work for things like potholes, have been able to free up their workforce on their public works by more than 50%. Or There's a place like Loudon Water right down the street that has actually built autonomous procurement directly into their applications, allowing a 98% availability into Loudoun County. Now, there's another piece that you'll hear some of our colleagues talk about today, which is AI governance. And AI governance, if you guys are in government, you know is normally translated as the handbrake of progress, right? Suddenly we want to create all these pyramids, we have to create the echelons of control. But I'd argue that in a mission-forward world, governance for us is really about the handshake of moving forward. It becomes the transmission in your vehicle that translates the raw power that exists in the back-end systems directly into controlled movement. There are some examples that we can show of places like Blue Diamond, who makes incredible nuts, but when they started placing a governance structure into their models, they not only saved more than $1 million for transportation in the supply chain and logistics and distribution hubs, but they also saw a 95% improvement in simulation planning. Or Johnson Controls, which makes high-level air conditioning systems, who's saving thousands of hours across the ecosystem. Now, for us at SAP, we specifically think about embedded execution. And I want to give you 3 anecdotes that I think are super important as we place these in the workflow of what we do from a mission-forward perspective. The first one is, like an old military guy, I always go and get my annual physical, like most of you. December 20th, I went to Burke Army Medical Center in San Antonio. And my doctor leaned in and she goes, "Hey, you give speeches about AI, right?" And I go, "Yeah." She goes, "They just gave us this new thing. It's called GenAI.mil. Jamison, I'm so confused." I'm like, "What are you confused about?" She goes, "Well, we log in, and then we have to have a drop down of which language model we should use." I don't know which one we should use. I said, "Well, just pick one. They're a model, right? They're not at the operational level." And she goes, "Okay," so she chooses one. And I go, "What did you ask it?" She goes, "Well, the government won't let us actually connect to the medical data to make better decisions and speed stuff up, so we asked it if we could have Christmas Eve off." Kid you not, true story. The second thing is, when we talk about things like finance and supply and procurement and workforce, I want you to think about commercial examples that are doing it today at scale that you have a very similar construct for. The first one that I'll give you is Maersk Shipping Lines. Maersk leveraged SAP's wholesale distribution and supply chain that when the Iranian conflict started happening in the Black Sea, was able to reroute more than 300,000 ships in real time. Think of what that does for an organization like the Defense Logistics Agency. Or the second one that I'll give you is Anheuser-Busch, that during a national emergency can autonomously augment, stop producing beer, and start producing bottled water for the Federal Emergency Management Association in real time because of the backbone, because everything in AI is integrated directly into their standard workflows. So when we talk mission forward, what I'd ask for each and every one of you to do is don't start with the model. Instead, start with the mission. And not to steal from a former great president, but ask not what AI can show you, but ask how you can leverage AI to execute your mission. Thank you.